arrangements in place. And I commend this report or this governance statement to the Executive.
Thank you very much. Would any members of the public, I don't think so because there aren't any here, but councillors care to comment? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to say a few words as the Chairman of the Corporate Governance and Standards Committee, which considered the annual governance statement, and particularly in relation to the position of Monica Juneja, which was discussed at length. The committee resolved to note the report and to recommend it for consideration by the Executive Committee without comment. The question which the Corporate Governance Committee addressed is whether or not officers should have done anything differently in the light of what we now know. Robin Hooper was a person of appropriate experience to act as an independent investigator, and on the basis of the information presented to him and his discussions with the Bar Council, he concluded that there had been no breach of the Council's Code of Conduct. As is now well known, the Bar Council subsequently changed their advice and informed the Council by letter on 5th March 2014, and that in the light of Section 181 of the Legal Services Act, which had been in force since 2010, it was an offence to use the title barrister if one had not satisfactorily completed the academic qualifications and been called to the bar. Now, on receipt of this revised view from the Bar Council, Mr. Hooper considered the position and told the Council that he didn't think it was necessary to reopen his investigation because that was concerned solely with whether or not there had been a breach of the Council's Code of Conduct, and his opinion in this regard had not changed. And I should emphasise that it was the decision of Mr. Hooper as the independent investigator and not the officers in relation to this particular matter. And the officers have no control over the independent opinion of Mr. Hooper. And at this stage, the officers were not in a position to take any further action, as they clearly had to let the police inquiry take its course. As it turns out, much of Mr. Hooper's investigation was based on erroneous information supplied by Ms. Juneja, and with their greater powers of investigation, the police were able to expose her fraud, and as a result, we are where we are now. The annual governance statement clearly acknowledges that the Council has suffered severe reputational damage, and this can't be denied. However, there is no evidence that Ms. Juneja in any way influenced Council policy in an inappropriate manner, or that the Council suffered any financial loss as a result of the fraud, which basically related to events long before she became a councillor. And for this was basically just to enlarge upon the reasoning of the committee in deciding to recommend the report without making any comment.